when I ordered it on Etsy a couple months ago for this size. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Jessie and I make videos on Mondays all about plants. You can go ahead and subscribe if that is interesting to you. Today we're going to be talking about Hoyas because if you have seen some of my more recent videos, you may know that recently I want to buy all of the Hoyas. I didn't really start out my journey as like a person into Hoyas. I was more drawn to like monsteras, pothos, more plants that like kind of climb. And then recently I don't know what happened. Okay, I don't know what happened. There are just so many varieties of Hoyas that I want to own them all. So today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing my collection with you. All of the Hoyas that I have currently. I don't have like that many like rare ones either, but you know, I have a couple in there. So I'm going to be sharing my collection with you, and then at the end of this video I'm just going to give a couple different like tips and tricks to have happy and healthy Hoya plants. So let's go ahead and get into this video. Okay. First Hoyas that I have here are two different varieties of the pubicalyx Hoya. So this one here is a pubicalyx splash, I think. I'm just assuming it wasn't labeled, but that's what it looks like to me. And then this one's just like a regular one. The only thing I want to say about these guys is this one right here is one of my like pride and joy rehabs, because this plant specifically was a full pot when I bought it, and then it died back to only these two top leaves over here. It was like the first plant that I was able to like grow back from nothing. So now you can see it has new growth and it's growing some nice big leaves. So I'm very proud of this. It's like my first accomplishment in the plant world. But yes, these are Hoya pubicalyx. All right, the next one I have here is a pretty common Hoya as well. I think this is a crimson queen. It's a crimson queen or a crimson princess, but I think it's a queen. And the only difference is the variation is either on the outside or the inside, depending on which one it is. I don't know. I've had this one for about 1.5 years, and actually now it's starting to give like a lot of new growth. It's kind of doubled in size. So I really actually do love this. If you're a beginner into Hoyas, this is what I started with, and actually I think this is a really, really easy beginner Hoya because they're not too finicky at all. It's been growing really well for me. I really like it. It's very gratifying if you are like looking for a plant that grows relatively quickly. This Hoya does that. So this next one here is a Hoya Compacta. This is just like the regular version. I also will be showing you the variegated version that I have as well. And I don't know, I really don't have too much to say about this plant. I was very excited about it when I got it, and I do like it. Like I think that the growth pattern on these guys are really weird and like kind of brain-like. It reminds me of like a brain. I don't know. But like I've had this for I think a full year and it's done nothing. It has grown not one single leaf in the entire time that I've had it. They are notoriously slow growers, but I like it's literally done nothing. Hasn't lost any leaves, hasn't done literally anything. So I have it, it's here, I don't know. This guy right here is arguably one of my favorite Hoyas that I have in this entire collection. It is a Hoya obavada. And I am genuinely just all around obsessed with this Hoya right here. And if you have like a couple of beginner Hoyas, or you want to start, honestly, I take back what I said about the crimson. It's a good beginner Hoya, but this is also a beginner Hoya. Like you can start with this, no problem. It's so prolific. I've made, I think, 4 plants off of this one plant already in just the short amount of time that I've had it. I've had it like, I think 6 months or so. So it has grown so many new leaves for me. You can see it's already getting a new leaf right here. It grows so quickly and I love the leaf shape. So it is more common, like it's a relatively easy to get your hands on plant, but I love it. Like it's one of my favorite Hoyas that I have. It's so good. Okay, the next Hoya that I have is Hoya Chelsea's. I got this one from Etsy a couple of months ago. I want to say like 3 to 4 months ago. And it has been giving me new growth and, you know, right here and over here. But I will say this ended up costing me, I think, almost $50 for this size plant right here. It ended up costing me about $50. And then one of the nurseries that I have near me posted on Instagram 2 days ago that they had Hoya Chelsea's, and I was like, let me go scope that out. So I went, and this I got right here for $30. So, you know, live and learn. I really love the Hoya Chelsea, and I think what I'm gonna do is put them in like a large pot together. That way I'll have like a full pot of them. I really like them. I like the round leaf shape. If you couldn't tell from my last Hoya, I love like the rounded leaf shape. That's kind of like my favorite. So I'm probably gonna put these two together. I'll have a bigger pot. I like Hoya Chelsea's. Okay, so this guy right here is a Hoya Gravata, and it's newer to me in my collection. If you saw my spring plant haul a couple videos ago, you'll see that I kind of just acquired this. So I don't have any like new growth that I've grown like in my care yet, but I was drawn to it because I really like the growth pattern. But I don't know too much about it. It's new to me. I really like it. I like that it's kind of like floppy. I don't know. It's a cute one, and I don't know too much about it. If you know anything about it, or if you want to leave care tips for me below in the comments, you can do that. But yes, this is a Hoya Gravata. This baby right here is a variegated Hoya Chelsea, so it's like the heartleaf Hoya, and it's variegated. It has like a yellow on it. I don't have too much to say about it because it really hasn't done anything for me in my care yet. You can see it is starting to get a little new growth point, but it could still lose it. Just something to note about Hoyas is that sometimes they lose their new growth points when they're like still small. It happens. So I don't know. I don't want to get too excited about it, but it is starting to push out some new growth. I really love like the larger pots of these, but she's just not there yet. She's really cute, but she's not there yet. If you're a plant parent, you probably have like a couple of plants in your collection that you scored for like an incredible deal. And for me, this is one of them. This is a variegated Hoya Compacta, so it's the variegated version of the other one I showed you earlier. And I got this plant for $18 at my local nursery. I literally, in the moment that I was there and pulled up, she was putting them out, and within 2 minutes, me and 2 other girls scooped them up. So I cannot say, like, obviously the woman who was putting them out did not realize their value. I wasn't about to tell her. So I am obsessed with them. They're so pretty. And I will say this Hoya is actually giving me like a slight more amount of growth. You can see this little pink leaf that's come out and this one right here than the other one. Like I said, the other regular compacta hasn't done literally anything. So I don't know, if you can get your hands on one of these, they grow a little more quick. It's still a really slow grower, but very pretty. And honestly, I only paid $18 for it, so you know. Okay, so this is the last Hoya that I have in my collection as of now. This is one of my most recent Hoyas that I have, and this is called a Hoya albo Marginata. I don't know. It's something like that. I'll put it on the screen for you. I can't really say it. But I ordered this on Etsy. I paid like close to $60 for it. I think like $58 with shipping and taxes and everything else like that. It came to me with 2 more small leaves right here, and they did fall off. They did not like handle shipping well. They looked fine when they arrived, but they were floppy and they never fully bounced back after I potted and watered it because it came bare root. This one I think is kind of going in the same direction. It still hasn't like bounced back. You can see it's very malleable, but these 2 leaves down here are doing okay, so I think that they're gonna stay and this one might leave. It's kind of a thing that happens with Hoyas is when they adjust to their new environments, they do tend to lose some of their new growth. So that sucks, but it's still doing okay. It's like stable and it's adjusting. I love this plant. I wanted it to be like full and pretty, but sometimes you have to do a little rehabbing, so that's fine, you know. If you have any care tips for this one specifically, let me know, because it is new to me. Okay, so now I've gone through all of my Hoyas that I have in my collection right now. I know that will change. I'm sure it will continue to grow. But right now I want to talk a little bit about just like my general care tips that I have for keeping my Hoyas happy and healthy. I'm not going to get like too in depth because I mean each Hoya plant is technically like a different plant, so they have different care needs technically, but I will just talk about like general Hoya care. Okay, so I'll start with their lighting needs. Now, Hoyas as like a general rule need higher light than most other houseplants. That's not necessarily always true. Some Hoyas can get away with like lower light, like Hoya obavada, Crimson Queen. Like the more common ones, you can pretty much get away with a little bit lower light. But just as a general rule, when you prioritize lighting in your home, you kind of are deciding where to place your plants. Hoyas are gonna want to take more center stage in as far as your lighting goes. So you can get away with having them under grow lights. I have a lot of mine under grow lights, but just keep them like closer to the grow lights than some of your other plants. Like if you have layers, like what I do is I layer plants. So I have some hanging, I have some below, and I have the grow light kind of in the middle. A lot of times with a lot of the Hoyas that are hanging in my home, I have them hanging like right below the grow light with then other plants on the bottom. So that works out well for me. Otherwise, you want to look for like a west or south facing window and have them like kind of close to that because they do prefer higher light. So next I want to talk about watering needs. They are some of the easiest plants to keep, in my opinion, specifically because they really need very, very minimal water. So I think probably the #1 cause of like killing a Hoya, in fact, the Hoya that I almost completely killed, I definitely overwatered the heck out of it. And I think probably if you're new to Hoyas, that would be something that you would want to try and avoid. My rule of thumb is to only water them when their leaves become malleable. So I did let one fully dry out in anticipation for this video, so I'll show you. This is the Hoya Compacta variegata that I had showed earlier, and it is absolutely ready for a drink. And you can tell that, I can tell that by, number one, it's like a little bit wrinkly. It has like kind of wrinkles or puckers in the leaves. But also if I take my finger, I can just like mush the leaves just like that. They're like very malleable. They're very like spongy, squishy. Hoyas are typically called, like sometimes referred to as wax plants, and that's because their leaves are supposed to be very like thick, firm, and waxy. So you know it's time to water your Hoya when the leaves are just not waxy anymore. They're just like a little malleable. You can go ahead and water it all the way through. I always recommend that. I always say that when I talk about watering, water it all the way through until the water comes down, and then you should be good. I would not water any more than that because you will probably overwater it. The one thing I'll say is like sometimes new growth on Hoyas is like a little bit malleable until it like hardens off. So I don't know, check your like older leaves. Refer to your older leaves and see if they're like waxy or malleable, not your newer leaves. But it's really easy to tell when to water a Hoya. You just have to kind of let them tell you. The last two things I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to kind of lump them together because I don't have like too much to say, but I'm going to talk about soil and humidity. So for soil, the only thing that I think is important is that you want to have like a chunky mix. You can like kind of get away with regular potting mix, but don't water too much if you have regular potting mix. I always add soil amendments though for every one of my plants, and for Hoyas I just kind of like ramp up my amendments just like a smidgen so that there's like a little bit more chunk. I personally use perlite and horticulture charcoal and then regular potting mix. You can use orchid bark, you can use pumice, leca even. I don't know, I don't get too crazy with it, I just use those two things. And then the other thing is humidity. And honestly, Hoyas are pretty easy, so they don't need too much humidity. Like you can get away with having Hoyas in relatively drier rooms. You can have kind of no humidity going on at all. But they are tropical plants, so they like humidity. If you can increase their humidity, you want to make them grow a little quicker, you can increase their humidity. Or else, honestly, they do fine in regular rooms. They're not like too crazy, they're fine. All right, that is gonna be the end of today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching if you made it to the end. If there are any like Hoyas that you saw here today that you want me to make like more specific care tips about, let me know. I can definitely do that. This was kind of more just like a general overview of Hoyas. So I just want to thank you so much for watching, and I will be here next Monday. Subscribe if you would like to, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!